If you invest the way people gamble in casinos, you're not going to do very well. It's the long-term investment that works best. But if you like the action of investing, sometimes winning, sometimes losing, just like when they gamble in a casino, those people are not my people. I like the long-term investors who figure out something that's going to work over the long term and buy that. And the sooner the Chinese people gamble less and invest patiently for the long term more, the sooner they will do better. The world is full of foolish gamblers. They will not do as well as the patient investors. Well, I think it can be learned to some extent, and to some extent you're born with it. There's a saying in America they call a long attention span. They can keep their mind on a game or an activity for a long time until they've solved it. And the Chinese do have a long attention span. And that is a hugely desirable quality because you're more likely to get the right answer if you think deeply and hard about a subject for a long time. And it's odd that a group of people who are so good at having a long attention span like to gamble so much, which is quite counterproductive. A lot of people think there is such a thing as truth in the markets, that the market is going to tell you something just by bouncing around. That is not the way Berkshire Hathaway or Charlie Munger invests money. We have a view as to what the intrinsic value is of what is being traded, and we only buy it when we think it's worth more than we're paying. So we're trying to make a long-term investment by waiting for something to be underpriced and then buying it. And we don't give a damn about all these gamblers in the market. To me, they're just so much froth. And it's a foolish way to spend your time if you want to get rich. The Chinese market is going to create a lot of successful investors. If you look at Hong Kong, which has been full of Chinese people enmeshed in a capitalist order with a good securities market, that is going to spread all over China and increase in respectability and size for decades ahead. I anticipate that China's security markets and investing practices will get better and better for a long, long time. There'll be fluctuations, to be sure, but the long-term trend will be more achievement, more respectability, and higher prices. The Chinese who've gotten rich in Hong Kong over the last 50 years are not the short-term traders and the gamblers. It has been the long-term investors who sought out good long-term investments and stubbornly held them for long periods of time. And just as that worked for the Chinese in Hong Kong, it'll work for the Chinese on the mainland. It's not the short-term gambling that's good, it's the identifying the good long-term investment and sticking with it for a long time. My Berkshire Hathaway stock cost me $16 a share, and it's now selling for almost $300,000 a share. That's been a very good investment. It took a long time, and it was a long-term investment where I liked the people I was investing with, and I liked the companies I was investing in, and I just sat there for more than 50 years, and lo and behold, it's worked out very well. And there are lots of stories like that. Lilu and I have been investing together in China for, 15 years, and we have bought a lot of securities and we sold very few. I have not made very many bad investments. They've been small and not very many. I don't have many bad investments. Neither does Lilu. Basically, the Mungers have three stocks. We've got Berkshire, we've got Costco, and we have an investment in Lilu's partnership. Three things. I'm well along in my 95th year. Three things. You don't need to own a lot of different things to get rich. The New York Times just interviewed and they asked me, why are these people in China so interested in Berkshire Hathaway and Charlie Munger? I know, it's very peculiar. It is very peculiar. Partly the book did it, but why do the Chinese like that book? I think the answer is that it sounds Confucian. China has a deep Confucian ethos. They want people to act modestly even though they're rich and powerful. They want people to constantly keep learning and to behave with dignity and reason and improve as they get old and keep working. Those lessons are not confined to one country. It just happens that Warren Buffett and I act like a bunch of people that take Confucianism very seriously. That's why they like us. They know I like books, so he will give me so many books that I either skim or read through 20 books a week. No, I get lots of books. I read a lot of biography and some history. I read almost no fiction. He asked me what other reason for the reason that we're suddenly popular in China. And I said, there's one more reason, is that Warren and I really like the Chinese. And of course, everybody likes people who like them. So that's what happens. Now you say, why have the Chinese gotten so popular with a couple of Omaha boys? That's something that a lot of Chinese don't understand. If you look at China with the viewpoint of a United States citizen, here is what you see. When the Chinese first came in here, they were trying to build the Transcontinental Railroad in the winter through horrible passes in the steep mountains. And nobody could do it. It was impossible. People were dying and it was just too hard. So they brought in like 50,000 Chinese coolies, who were in those days practically slaves. And they took those coolies up into the mountains in the winter and they said, you build a railroad. And they did. And the Americans couldn't do it by themselves. Well, that of course made a very favorable impression. Well, fade in, fade out. And now we've had all this immigration of Asians, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, so on. And what have those Asians done in America? Well, they've come in and rapidly become doctors, lawyers, professors, businessmen, and so forth, and succeeded mightily. And if we go to our symphony orchestra, which didn't used to have any Chinese in it, every instrument that's hard to play and takes unlimited practice, you look up from the instrument, there's a Chinese face. Well, of course, we find people popular who are succeeding so much in our country, and they're not causing a lot of trouble. They're just succeeding. And so naturally we like the Chinese. And I don't think the ordinary person on mainland China understands what an image of success China has in the United States, because the Chinese Americans have done so well here. And the most extreme thing of all that nobody could have anticipated, nobody ever talks about it, and you should talk about it in your magazine, is because there was so much poverty in China and it was so overpopulated. If an American couple were unable to have children of their own, they could always go to China and adopt a Chinese girl from a very poor family. So in every important city of America, people soon learned they got better babies, taking the unwanted Chinese girls from the remote Chinese farms. That those babies, on average, worked out better than if had their own children. And so everybody wanted to adopt a child. They don't want an American child. They want a Chinese girl. And of course, all those girls worked out well. And most people in China don't realize how extreme that's been. That's happened in every American city. Every American private school is full of the discarded Chinese girls from the Chinese countryside, and they're getting all A's and winning the prizes. And of course it makes a favorable impression.